What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It's Mr. Mermaid11 here bringing you a Graves Jungle Guide. Do you like rework champs or dudes like Jin that require you to sit down for 10 minutes and read an overly complicated passive that can be boiled down to a few key items in a matter of seconds?
Graves reloads for 2.08
Basic
seconds and
attacks
assume
consist
rate
of
attack 4 pounds from 35.7 degrees to 52.2 degrees.
Seriously, man? The dude's got a double barrel shotgun that can crit, he's got a reload, he can't shoot through dudes, and he knocks back minions. Boom, now you know Graves. Like, comment, subscribe, retweet, follow, swipe right, whatever the video is done, you've mastered Graves. Just kidding. For runes, grab some lethality reds, attack speed blues, and armor yellows, and for quints, go 2 attack speed runes and 1 magic resist. And hell, if you don't want to buy those, that's totally fine. Rito's getting rid of runes in a few months anyways. Now, since masteries are probably gonna stay relatively unchanged, fingers crossed, I like to go 12-18-0 with the Keystone Light Premium Beer Mastery being Thunderlord's Decree. When you're in the game like a modern day Spy Kids, only 90s kids will understand, pick yourself up a Hunter's Machete, a refillable potion, and a warding trinket. Then head on over to Blue Buff with some friends. If you're expecting a leash, take your Q first for more damage, but if you're all alone, start with your E for some extra armor and magic resist. If you kite appropriately, you can avoid taking damage from these early single monster jungle camps. We'll go over this a little bit more later, but once you've secured your blue buff, unlock your whichever Q or E you didn't start with, then flip through Adolf Hitler's Mein Kampf to prepare yourself to invade the enemy's jungle. Graves has a decent amount of mobility with a Z, kinda like when you give a kid rollerblades, so unique pathing can catch unsuspecting enemies off guard and leave the red buff wide open for you, just like the giant gash on the knee of that kid who's skating around on rollerblades. Idiot.
But Moo Man, what if I start on the opposite side? Surely I can't do the exact same thing you just told me.
Step 1 being using Graves' unique pathing utilizing a Z to dash over small walls, then stealing enemies' red buff from them, leaving them crying on the sidewalk with a scraped knee, and finishing out by securing some summoners in whatever lane you show up in. Of course you can. And don't call me Shirley. You can also get Scuttle, cause Scuttle wins games. Now back to the original gameplay. Like I said, once you've stolen the red buff, use your early game strength to try to gank a lane to get your laner an advantage, or even try to steal a kill that's rightfully theirs. Either way, your early pressure should set your laner up nicely to die, of course.
An ally has been slain.
Well, who cares, cause Scuttle wins games. There's just so much fun to be had with your double buffs, so why not even visit bot lane and chunk down some health bars before George the Jungle and get back to Gromp in the wolf camp. Next, feel free to Kentucky fry those chickens too for some finger-licking good, and the Colonel might even throw in a biscuit and a big old cookie. And now you finally made it to your own red buff, who's been so rudely neglected for the past 5 minutes while you ran around the map like one of Colonel's chickens there with its head cut off. Right before you start, stick an almighty warding trinket in the bush to grant you all-seeing vision, then finish off the red buff while kiting backwards towards the Krugs. Once there, aim your Q in a path that hits both of them, and have it bounce off a wall for an immediate kickback. This is an important note, much like C#, and you can use it to your advantage later on against champions too to give them less reaction time and ensure maximum burst damage, since hitting terrain with your Q instantly reactivates the second stream of damage. Now speaking of kickbacks, recall to go back to the White House to pick up more illicit political favors from the king of questionable activities himself, as well as a skirmisher saber and parts for your warrior enchantment. Then it's back to your jungle where you'll put your newfound kiting abilities to the test, like a well-meaning dad taking his son out for some childlike fun. In the middle of Hurricane Irma. Nah, it shouldn't be that difficult for you. So once you've gotten Gromp and so politely donated your blue buff to your mid laner, much like you should make a donation to the American Red Cross to help those affected by the deadly hurricanes in Texas and Florida, continue clearing your jungle and go help out top lane. Cause I mean, after all, you are the king of burst damage, so just slide on in, do your combo. Holy hell, this ribbon hurts! Abort! Abort! Pinnacle! Oh my god! Ah!
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, no.
Easy money, wasn't even worried. Oh no, Nidalee, please, I beg of you. Baited. I knew I was fine the whole time. Just gonna walk all the way back because of reasons. And now that you're safe and sound back at base, bedazzle your skirmisher saber with a lovely red ruby to unlock your warrior enchantment in a massive power spike. And while you're on the hunt for some lovely red attire, why not clothe yourself in a dapper new red buff so you can put your massive power spike to good use in the mid lane. Walk on up and give that enemy laner a little love tap, just enough to get your mid laner into a jealous frenzy because you never spend time with her anymore and you're just visiting her because of her massive orbs. That'll ultimately lead to your mid laner murdering her competition to look better in your eyes, but more importantly, you'll get an assist, earning you more of that cash money, boy. And with no enemy to stop you, hook up with her one last time to dish out tons of damage to the enemy's tower until a scary ribbon pops out and ruins all your fun. But that's okay, cause you're needed bot lane since ADC Teemo just isn't working out for your team for some reason. Huh, go figure. And just watch in horror as your low HP support dives headfirst into both enemies and promptly dies. Again, go figure. Who would have guessed that that outcome could have ever occurred? Go ahead and let them know that you're here to hold the lane so they don't keep pushing by tickling their chinny chin chins with your ult. Push in the wave and head back to your jungle for more Farming Simulator 2017. The froggy harvest is plentiful this year, as is the succulent blue fruit, known for its regenerative properties. And last on the crop rotation is a lovely bushel of wolves, who surprisingly enough thrive just fine in this jungle ecosystem. And since your mid laner just so happens to be out of the picture for the moment, go sneaky beaky into the mid lane for a discreet one-night stand with the enemy and her multitude of melons, and invite your bro to tag team this conquer, cause I mean look at the dude, he ain't getting any looking like that. With the enemy jungler topside, bot lane in place, and both enemy top laner and mid laners dead, push the turret to grant yourself a small loan of $650 and pick up first turret bonus for your team. Then go try to counter jungle since your perfect rotation has kept you at full HP and mana. If you spot out the enemy jungler while you're snooping around in there, make sure to make a complete fool of yourself by whiffing your ult in full view of an enemy ward that's so bad it'll attract the attention of even more enemies until you're forced out of there with your tail between your legs like what a father disowns his son for being a furry. And since you ran away like the chicken that you are, what better place to hide than the chicken camp itself? Try to regather your courage and prepare to go take the dragon by first dropping in on your good friend Scuttle. Unfortunately, your quick hello is cut short by your jealousy-crazed mid laner dying, so apologize to Scuttle and change your plans to head mid lane. After getting very close to killing one of the enemies there, engage in the classic Baroque-era ballroom ballet performed for centuries among royalty called the Chicken Dance, with neither team making much headway until you call off the fight because you may or may not have face-tanked a couple of balls and a hard shaft. Now this time for real, you can reclaim your manhood by heading to the Dragon Pit and securing your team first dragon buff of the game. Naturally, say hello to your good friend Scuttle on the way out because Scuttle wins games, but since you're with friends you can't stay long, so recall to go back to base for the first time since Nam it seems and pick up some boots. I like to go attack speed boots, but tabbies or merc treads are also viable. Grab a zeal and some daggers as well to start working on a phantom dancer. Since Graves is all about getting up close and personal like that creepy uncle you have that always hugs you for way too long at family gatherings, you'll want to itemize to deal damage, but also to sustain in longer fights that your combo isn't enough to burst down enemy champs. For your final build, you'll want to complete your Skirmisher Saber with Warrior Enchantment as well as the boots from earlier for your core items. The remaining 4 are pretty situational and should change game to game depending on the enemy team's comp. Graves' kit is set up to where you don't need to build very tanky most of the time, so the builds you should go for are more focused on offensive playstyles. The one I like to build the most includes combining lethality items with attack speed items to maximize DPS and wipe squishies off the face of the earth like the majority of humans will be after World War III. Including your core, build a Phantom Dancer first, Black Cleaver or Death Stance next, and either a Duskblade or Edge of Night as your last item. If you just really like playing the assassin role, you can go Ghostblade, Duskblade, all the blades you want really, as well as an Edge of Night and Death Stance. This build does unfortunately leave you pretty susceptible to, well, dying, so only build full lethality if you are fed like a pleasantly plump pupper at dinner time and your team has a sizable lead. And of course, if you want to sprinkle in some other items to switch in and out of your own build, there's always my favorite item to build on every champ, a Blade of the Ruined King. You can also shuffle your feet or run a balloon in your hair to build up enough to purchase a static shape, or if you just like crit items, why not an Infinity Edge? Obviously there's a few other items you can build, it's just up to you to build based on the current game. Now once you're done buying, and just as a general tip, when you're coming out of the base after a few teammates have died, always be cautious if enemies are missing. It can turn a spooky situation like this one around where you probably would have gotten surprise killed into a surprise kill for your team that you didn't have to set up for at all. It's like Riven just presented herself to you on a shiny silver platter. It'll also give you the confidence you need to team up with your jealous ex mid laner and grab yourself another kill or two. Later on, if you're fighting in another lane and accidentally walk into Syndra's super difficult skill range for her to press R on you and you die, remember that when you respawn that jungle camp monsters won't ever hurt you like that mean old mid laner did. So once you've cleared every camp for more of that sweet, sweet coin, meet up with your team who are strategically positioned around the most important objective in the game, Scuttle. Naturally, a fight will break out over who wants Scuttle the most, cause Scuttle wins games. Go catch up with your team and try to snipe those low HP enemies with your ult. Also remember to aim your Q to hit a wall to ensure the most damage at once, allowing you to grab the first kill of the fight. But you like to play with your food too, so laugh while Blitzcrank tries to run away from your entire team, minus Tito of course, because it's Tito. And what do you know, there's another kill. With 2 enemies dead, head to the Baron pit and get ready to make a move. Just going in that direction will bait out the enemy jungler, which you can easily lock down and have your kill get stolen, ugh. But that's alright, because something about this call seems totally off, and after realizing you didn't secure Scuttle, call the whole thing off and go on the hunt for that Ash. When you find the booty, initiate your combo, auto-attack, E into their face, Q their face completely off, auto-attack their face twice again, then flash away while you shoot out your W that just came off cooldown and fade away. And make sure to fade so far away that Riven will chase y'all all the way back to your turret, which should present herself again to you, but now on a golden platter with all the overconfidence of a typical Riven player for you to kill. Then after recalling and completing your next item, cleverly edit out an entire fight scene where you die and pick back up on an equally intense fight back at the Baron pit. When you get there, you see Baron's already low, but you don't have flash and you definitely don't have time to walk all the way around. So just Tony Hawk that ledge and smite the Baron for extra style points. Then conduct an experiment that will ultimately tell you that rolling golems do in fact gather rust, cause this one's dead. Then Baron empower those minions and push down their inhibitor tower. And don't stop there, take the inhib too. But if you don't have enough manpower to keep the momentum going, head to another lane and pick a fight with some easy prey. After that combo, that's a Scripts! Hacker! Okay, unfair. Nope, reported. Whatever, just keep pushing the lane until you can't any further, then go solo the dragon for funsies. It's the air dragon, so it's obviously the most important anyway, right? Nah man, poor little guy's like the 4th chipmunk in Alvin and the Chipmunks. What, you didn't know there was a 4th chipmunk? Just proves my point more then, dude. Anyway, if the game starts to drag on through a series of questionable calls and the fact that you have a Tito ADC, use your editing skills to spawn in an Elder Dragon for your team to secure. Now the last thing to do is to forcefully march it down mid lane like Russia's annexation of Crimea. Yeah, I didn't forget about you, Putin. And to go in the game. And in a last-ditch effort, Syndra will try to show off her sex change surgery by shoving her balls in your face, but you itemized effectively and get to grab one last kill of the game. As you go to take down the Nexus, the enemy team will be thinking the next time they play against you, oh no, not this Graves again. We've already lost, men. Well, there you have it. There's your Graves Jungle Guide.